And I was having a pretty good day when I died. The sun was shining, the skies were blue. I didn't realize that I would end up in an ICU at the end of the day. One of the first things that happened to me is I was greeted on the other side. I was greeted with the words of, "Welcome, beloved one. You are blessed. You are honored." The first part of our reading this morning talks about that. If we had any understanding of how honored we are for being here, doing what we're doing, living the struggles that we live, and the joys. Think about a rock star, a world-famous scientist, a preacher that's known throughout the world, something or someone that you look up to with such reverence, and that pales in comparison to what they feel for us and how honored we are in their eyes. And if we could carry that with us here every day, how much different would it be?
My mother had been watching for me my whole life. And, you know, there were some things in the 60s I wasn't so happy that she might have seen, but she didn't care, because there's no judgment there. There is no judgment. None whatsoever. That's the second most important, or one of the most important things I learned. God does not judge us. I was there in the heart of God, which is what all of us are. I had returned to the heart of God, and I knew that I was not judged at all. Because God knows when we're down here on earth, playing in these little human play suits. It's sort of like those things we dress our kids in when it's cold, and they're all bundled up, and they have boots, and they have socks, and they have idiot mittens and hats and scarves wrapped around their heads, and they're like, you know, they know that that's what it's like, pretending to be a human, which we all decided we would pretend to do. So if one of your kids is all dressed up like that, and you say, "Here, feel this, doesn't that feel interesting?" They can't feel it because they got mittens on. So they make mistakes. They think, "Oh, maybe it's this, or maybe it's that," and they might guess about what it is because they can't really feel it because they're muffled. And of course, that's how we are as human beings. We're muffled, and we can hear our guidance, and from inside and from outside, and we can, try to understand what it's trying to tell us, and we can try to act accordingly, but it's all muffled. So we do our best, and sometimes we don't do so well. Some of those things in the 60s especially. But there's no judgment. There's none whatsoever. My relatives were all just happy to see me. They were so proud of me, and I'm like, "Well, I haven't done anything." They were proud of me. Just getting up every single morning and trying again. Especially on the days when it's been bad. They were so proud of me. What courage it took to do that. What courage it took to be on planet Earth, pretending to be human, pretending to be separate, willingly muffling our connection to all that is, pretending that we're flawed and limited. What courage that takes. They were amazing. And I'm standing there like, "Well, I've never done anything important." They said, "Oh, you've done the most important thing that exists."
You will look at yourself from this point. If God couldn't show up today, and God sent you in the events that you are about to watch, what difference did God make in the lives of the events that you're taking place? It's a heavy responsibility, but that's what we're doing here. If God couldn't show up today, and you had to be the difference that God made made in these situations of what you're about to see, what difference did God make? After I had the panoramic life review, and I had to sit down and reflect what a complete jerk I was, and what a failure I was as a spiritual being. We are not poor, pitiful, struggling humans trying to have mystical experiences. We are great and awesomely powerful and mighty spiritual beings trying to have human experiences, and we're just not real good at it yet, but we're attempting. That psychology must be in place. We must take that as the basis of how we look at ourselves so that we know how to open up. We can't keep looking at ourselves as struggling, stupid little humans. We can't, because it's just not, it's wearing too thin. It's not applicable. We are not that. Yeah. We are responsible for making this world a great place to live in. We are responsible for sharing our inner knowledge and our spiritual selves with those that are around us. And why? I don't really know all the reasons for it, but I know that what we do here works in a microcosm so that spirituality can watch these events and take from this experience and help evolve other worlds and other universes. This is like the microcosm of how spirit can react in a mental, material, physical matter. All of a sudden, once this was over, and I was trying to learn how to forgive myself for what I had done, and I just wasn't able to do it because I didn't think I deserved that forgiveness. I just honestly didn't think it. But yet no one ever judged me. Then this being and I, we traveled. We began to move through tones and frequencies and hues and energies. And it was so wondrous what we were going through. And I kept getting lighter and lighter and lighter. And I could feel more power. I came to a place where I knew I was all-knowing, that I had the ability to understand and conceive of all things, and which is a stark difference from who I am now, what an idiot that I am. But we are, as spiritual beings, are capable of conceiving all things and operating in dimensions that we don't even grip. We are heroes. How you know that you're a hero? If you've seen what I've seen and seen who we are, because no one listening is any different than me, than I am. I know who we are and what we look like. We are radiant, powerful beings who, because we chose and were chosen to come here as heroes, we come where angels don't fear to tread. We come and we hold this ground and we evolve in a way that's like a Nautilus commercial, no pain, no gain. But we're here because we chose to come. We know the events that'll be played out, and we play them out so that the world that we live in has a value system in it that is spiritual in a physical, mental dimension.
The experience of being human is incredibly unique. I know that we only remember the human part most of the time, but it is incredibly unique. It's very specialized. It's highly specific, super dense, super in the duality context, super rich, and a cognitive experience that is very unique. The idea of the ability to see the world from a human viewpoint. It's very unique, very, I don't want to use the word unusual, but it's a highly specialized experience. It's not like a run-of-the-mill thing. It's like getting in a spacesuit and going into outer space. You can do that. It's a pretty unique experience. Yes, it's highly constraining and very strange, but being human is a bit like that. It's entering an extreme experience of an extreme type of limitation, and here we are. But when we're seen from the other side for doing that, why do we do that? We're actually seen in a way that is full of love and respect, because we are seen as actually doing something extremely valuable by being here. That is seen plain as day. In fact, there's a near-death experience I love from a woman named Amy Call. In her near-death experience, she said that she could see that from the other side, all of us who had agreed to come and be human were seen as superheroes. To come and engage this rich context, to be willing to do that.
Before, we're the heavyweights of heaven down here on earth. You know, we're going through this.
Others who have had NDEs talk about the incredible, indescribable, unconditional love that they existed within when they were out of their bodies. And I experienced the same thing, but for me the phrase unconditional love, it doesn't work very well for me. For one thing, unconditional is a condition, and I'm very literal. And aside from that, the word love in the English language is pretty sloppy. You know, we love everything from French fries to our mothers. So I'm going to try to describe this feeling using different words. In this non-physical state of being, there's a profound sense of belonging. Everything about everyone that exists is not only accepted, but admired, respected, recognized, and celebrated. There's a cooperative co-passion for being that permeates everything that I experienced. Everything there is effortless. It is just so easy. It's blissful, and it's filled with a joy that is so fundamental, it's only really remarkable from outside of that state of being. So imagine that everything you have ever thought, imagined, experienced, dreamed, or created was recognized to be valuable. To you, yourself, and to everyone else, to all that exists. Imagine that no matter what you do or how you express yourself, you belong and are valued. This is true. What was known to me, what was so basic as to be assumed, was just that we are each intrinsically valuable. And everything we experience matters, not just to ourselves, but to each other and to all that is. I use the phrase all that is instead of God, source, universe, whatever. A lot of those words have just personal connotations that limit my ideas. And so when I say all that is, it includes all that is. So that's the term that I'll be using. My experience is that we're always within and expressions of all that is, which is a beautiful force of infinitely curious and creative energy and awareness. How can we be anything but perfect? We are all that is, just as much as it is us. We are created by it, it creates us. We participate in it, it participates in us. We extend it, and it extends us. We are each individual expressions of the single infinite awareness. We are one, and we are each perfect, exactly as we are. We're so used to thinking in terms of hierarchies. The healer is more important than the addict. The teacher is more important than the arms dealer. These hierarchies of value are not real. I don't care how dull or weird or messed up we think our lives are here in the physical world. I can assure you that all of us are having a valuable experience. And I don't care how special we think we are. We are each uniquely special, every single one of us. Our experience extends and enhances everything that exists. We are each infinitely creative beings, having an amazing experience just by being here. From the perspective out of body, it was understood that it takes some skill to even exist in the physical body, in the physical world. It takes a skill of focus to maintain consciousness within a physical body, and then to participate in a collective, cooperative, creative experience of being in this physical world. So we're all amazing. We're all jet pilots flying 50 feet off the deck, upside down. We are very cool. Just by showing up here, just by showing up.
I think this is the big game. It's like we can't experience what we want to experience when everything's light and beauty and peace. It's almost like we wanted to have the opposite. We wanted to experience what we're not so we could finally embrace what we truly are. We wanted to come and have the experience because our soul would expand. And while we're here, we just think, oh my gosh, I can't do this. I mean, this is too hard. But our higher self, our higher knowledge thinks, yeah, but that's why you came. I mean, it's easy for me to sit in a beautiful house and say life is good. And there's people that suffer, struggling. I mean, I'm working with some folks that work with human trafficking. I mean, kids being taken and put into the sex trade or whatever else. There are things in the world that are heart-wrenching. And so how do we look at those and say it's all in divine order? How does this make sense? I embrace it as a perfect opportunity to be love. How can I shine light in dark places? How can I embrace things and make a difference? And I realize I'm just one. I'm just one guy, but gosh, can I make life better for somebody today? Can I do something for someone? And by doing it for the one, you're doing it for the all. Even when I raise my own vibration, if I can go meditate for a minute and get at peace or forgive, something, even if it's forgiving myself, I forgive others very easily. The hard one to forgive for me is myself. That ripples out. It ripples out and affects the consciousness of all of humanity, but it comes down to choice. We live in fear. We're so conditioned with judgment or religion or even our parents or whoever said, well, you're a bad boy, you don't deserve that, that's not coming. Well, you've got to earn that, I mean, all these things that we have conditioned in our mind when in reality we are deserving. We are worthy, always. We're of great worth. And think, wow, it's so incredible to be in this realm and to be alive. And there is no death, and I'm having this experience, and there is no judgment. I'm going to move from this, and I'll tell you, when we pass from this life, we're going to be embraced by loving arms and simply asked, what did you learn? Tell me about what you learned in your experience. What was it like to be like that? What was it like to be you? What was it like to have this or not have that? And it's all going to be a collective oneness of, wow, look what we learned, look what we created, look at the uniqueness. And we'll realize we always were one. We always were connected. It was just our inability to embrace it and realize it that held us back. It's difficult because so much of our society just struggles day to day. It's hand to mouth. How do I survive? How do I make enough money to pay the rent and to put groceries on the table? There's no time or energy for how do I assist others? How do I make a difference in the world? I've found a key for me, and it's if I can take only 10 minutes a day. I mean, I'd rather take an hour, but even 10 minutes to be still and just reconnect. Like always be connected. Just remember that connection. Remember who I am. Remember that everything's in divine order, and let go of the fear. Let go of the contention. Let go of that doubt that there's not enough. We live in such fear that there's not enough. There's not enough money. There's not enough food. There's not enough time. There's not enough love. And yet if we can let go of that and realize there is enough, and I think the key for me was realizing that I'm enough. I'm enough. I mean, I limp around on one leg and I do the best I can, but I am enough by simply being me, by simply showing up in light, in love, and loving the people around me and taking care of those around me. And when I say taking care of, just energetically,